Hello everyone. Welcome to another week of the Community Team Q&A. For those of you who are joining for the first time, this is essentially an event where you can just join and ask your questions about Ubuntu. We can answer almost anything that's related to Ubuntu, and if we can't, we can direct you to the right people to answer them. I'm David Planella. I manage the community team at Canonical, and we've got Alan Pope, our community team manager, also at the community team at Canonical, and essentially the master of core apps and many other things. Okay, in terms of the logistics, if you guys are on IRC, feel free to ask your questions and make sure to just prepend them with questions so that we can just see them. If you can see us and hear us, it'd be nice for you to say hello, so we know that the sound and everything comes through and we're talking to you as opposed to with ourselves. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the format of the Q&A is pretty freestyle, essentially. Sometimes we have some news to share, and sometimes people just start firing off questions. But anyway, what do we have new this week? I think we could talk a bit about Snappy, or perhaps we could do a roundup of what happened in core apps. We haven't talked that much about them recently, I think. What do you think, Poppy?
Well, we usually do that tomorrow during the engineering call, meaning I haven't prepared for that.
Any highlights, though?
I mean, yeah, I can. Well, so the thing to note about everything on the phone at the moment is that we're preparing for final images that are going to be provided to our partners for building phones in the factories, and as such, we're polishing, fixing, making sure bugs are finally fixed before stuff gets shipped to the factory. And for the core apps, that's meant some fixes to things like the music app. We had a whole bunch of bug fixes over the last 3 weeks or so, but also we've added a new feature. One of the things that kind of threw people a little bit was how to get music onto their device. So the designers have come up with a walkthrough that you see when you first run the music app, and it tells you, how to use a music app and how to get music onto the device. And I'm sure for the people watching this, that's not very difficult. You plug it into a USB cable and drag some files across in your file manager of choice. But for ultimate target users like my mom and my brother, who wouldn't necessarily know that, it gives you a little bit of help. And also there's a few new empty state screens. So a number of the apps have new empty state screens. The document viewer also has one, and these are to give you hints what to do if you don't already have data. So for me, I don't see those empty state screens on the music app because I already have music on my device and I already have created playlists and so on. But if you've just got a brand new phone out of the box and you switch it on for the first time, you need a bit of guidance to tell you how to do stuff. So those empty states screens have been added to a few of the apps, including music and doc viewer. Calendar is another one that's been updated recently. It has some changes to the UI. You'll see that if you install the calendar app, it's not installed by default, but if you install the calendar app from the store, you'll note that when you first open the calendar app, it goes to the week view, which is often a bit more useful than the year view. I think was the default view previously. So now it's the week view, and it's a lot more polished and works a lot better and looks a lot nicer. We've also got some work going on in the Reminders app, which needs a lot more testing because well, We want to make sure it's robust before we put it in the store. And that is, we've added offline capability to reminders so that you can create notes and edit notes offline completely and not require any third-party cloud-based accounts. And that works pretty well, but we need to give that a little bit more testing before we push it to the store. And one other that's had a fair amount, or actually two more, Calculator is also under active heavy development. The Calculator's had a redesign, and there's a new version in the store called Calculator Reboot. So if you look in the store, you'll find there's Calculator app and then there's Calculator Reboot. If you install the Reboot and have a good old test of that, try out your favorite calculations that you like to exercise calculators with. One thing that you may not know about the calculator is if you swipe the numeric keypad at the bottom, you get the scientific functions, or if you turn it sideways, you get the scientific functions as well. So that's something that's new in this calculator that wasn't in the previous one. And one final thing is the terminal. We've been working on a terminal reboot for a long while, and we know, our first round of users are likely to be, the kind of people who like having a terminal. So there is a terminal in the store, and it's really cool. It's really awesome. It's got loads of new stuff that wasn't in the previous terminal, including tabs, so you can have multiple things running at once in different tabs. It's got live preview of the tabs as well, so if you're viewing like 4 different tabs, you can see them all updating, although on a phone with a screen that's about 5 inches across, it's quite hard to read because the text is super tiny. And also there's a feature that's not quite fully fleshed out yet, but we're working on, which is an overlay menu above the terminal, which allows you to pre-fill common commands or keyboard shortcuts. So for example, if you're a real Vim user, there might be certain keyboard shortcuts that you like to use, or if you're an Emacs user, similar case. The long-term idea of this is that you could pre-fill a bunch of overlay keyboards for different applications and switch between them nice and easily, so you don't have to keep bashing the keys quite so much. You can just like press little shortcuts, and that should make the terminal a lot more useful for people with, proper keyboard warrior type apps. I think that's about everything for the moment, unless I've forgotten anything. That's just off the top of my head. So if I've missed anything, let me know.
Cool. Well, I think that was pretty detailed actually. That's really good. It's really good to see the polish of this core app, especially what Alan was mentioning at the beginning about the empty state screens. That's I think that's really classy, and it really helps you the first time you're using these apps to guide you on how to get started. All right, we've got some questions already. We've had some queuing up, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first one is from I am Nico. Question is, if there is one thing that we could do to help the community, what would it be? That's again a very broad question, but I think we've got some good answers to that. It depends essentially on what you want to do and how you think you can help the Ubuntu community. If you want to start contributing and you're unsure on where to actually start, one thing that could be useful for you to do would be to go to community.ubuntu.com/find-a-task, and let me just paste the link. And there you'll get some ideas. Find it on IRC. URL. You will get suggestions on, depending on your interest, you'll get prompted about what actually interests you, what's your area of expertise, or what's more fun for you to work on. And that will guide you through the different ways in which you can participate in Ubuntu. So that's one way. I think that's perhaps the easiest way, because it's not only about contributing to Ubuntu, but it's also having fun in contributing to Ubuntu. That helps you finding something that that will be something that you think you will enjoy. The other thing this week is the well, not this week, but it's actually not this weekend, but the next one. On the 6th of February, we're organizing the Ubuntu Global Jam, and that's essentially a gathering of Ubuntu teams around the world to work on Ubuntu. If you go to loco.ubuntu.com/events, again, let me see if I can find the link for you. There you go. Here's a global link to the, here's a direct link to the Global Jam. And one way to help Ubuntu, and one way actually to meet some cool people around Ubuntu, is to either participate in an existing Ubuntu Global Jam event or organizing one. We have run several different, or we have talked about the Global Jams in these last few weeks on air Hangouts as well. And you can just go to ubuntuonair.com and then find the YouTube channel for the past videos, and you can learn more about how to run an event. But essentially, what we always say is that you only need 2 people to organize an event. It's about getting together and finding things to work on Ubuntu. If you go to that page that I sent you, then you should find everything that you need to know on how to register an event. But if you go to the wiki, then you'll have more ideas on the activities that you can run on a global jam. Let me just paste it here. So these would be perhaps my 2 highlights. There's a broad range of opportunities to help the Ubuntu community. I've just picked 2 to keep it easy. Poppy, do you have any other suggestions? Anything that you'd like to add? Anything I've forgotten?
So translations is one. Because you can do that from the comfort of your own home, and you don't necessarily need to be a developer. It's a nice way to contribute, because especially given the rate of churn at the moment during the development cycle, there are new screens added to applications, there are new strings added to screens, and those need translating. And so a good way to contribute is to translate those from US English into some other variant of English, or to whatever language is your native tongue. Yeah, you could do that from the comfort of your own home. There's some guidelines about doing translation, certain phrases that are very common, for example, that get translated, and it's probably best you join your local translation team and reach out to the people who are already doing it, so that you're translating consistently within your language. But I'd also say the global jam is a good thing as well, because it's just meet up with people, bit of social interaction, grab a coffee, grab a beer, whatever is your tipple of choice. Bring a laptop and start hacking on stuff. The wiki has got lists of stuff that need doing. People often jump on IRC and say to us, so I'd like to contribute to Ubuntu, but I don't know how. And the Ubuntu Global Jam wiki page tells you exactly what to do. There's plenty for everyone, and it covers every possible skill. So yeah, definitely that.
Cool. All right, let's take the next question. From Belkinsa, she's asking, is there a way to make Unity 8 semi-transparent like how Unity 7 is? To be honest, I don't know at the moment, but in any case, technically that's possible. I mean, Unity 8 is based on GML, Qt, and that's transparency animations are very much embedded into that. But I don't know. Poppy, perhaps you can answer better than I.
I don't know. Tried it. Personally, I only use Unity 8 on my phone and tablet. I don't actually use it on my desktop at the moment. I'm still using Unity 7 because Unity 8 is not finished yet. It's not ready for productive use on laptops and desktops. But yeah, it may well do, but I don't know.
All right. Okay. So, I mean, you might want to ask your question on the Ubuntu Unity channel. That's #Ubuntu-Unity. All of the Unity 7 and Unity 8 hackers are hanging out in there. MS Titanic is asking question: will the BQ phone will have an Ubuntu logo on it? From what I've seen, I believe so. I'm not sure we've got them on the development phones.
Actually, there were some pictures that were sent out. I've just seen a picture of it, and I don't think it does actually. I've just pasted a link into the IRC channel. Riccardo Padovani, who's one of the Core Apps developers, has blogged about it just today, actually, or yesterday, last night. He's published some pictures of what the phone looks like, and yeah, it's not got an Ubuntu logo as far as I can see. Is the answer to your question.
Okay, so next one. I've lost the channel. Where are we? There's been some conversation about cats that has scrolled up my
yeah.
IRC.
Where was the last one?
Oh yeah, I've got it, I think. So Nathan Haynes is asking, what is the next form factor for Ubuntu, and why is it a smartwatch?
I see what you've done there.
Yeah. I think that's a smart question as well.
Yeah, I think, well, the next form factor, when you think, right, so current available form factors is desktop, laptop, server, cloud, and the next one really is phone, because that's the one we're working on right now. So, you will soon be able to buy Ubuntu on a phone. The next one after that, as far as I understand, would be tablets. And the next one after that, who knows? I'd be interested to hear what people think the next one should be. You've seen the announcement of Snappy Ubuntu Core. You could probably do some interesting things with that, and something like one of these, and build that into something interesting. I'm sure. But I think I'd leave that up to your imagination. Oh, look at you with a big. Is that Beaglebone Black?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Yeah, that's a Beaglebone Black actually running Ubuntu.
I have a banana pie here, which is like a Raspberry Pi, but tastes of bananas, which I don't think has been ported yet to Snappy, but I want to because it's a rather cool device. So that's my next form factor for Ubuntu is my banana pie.
Excellent. So we'll all be having Ubuntu for breakfast next, I think.
Well, it's all fruit, so that's good. Part of our 5 a day. So Just Caracas asks, will machines versus machines ship by default? I think it should. Oh man, that's an excellent suggestion. So for those who don't know, Machines versus Machines is a game that's available on Ubuntu phone, and it was written by Michael Zanetti and some collaboration with someone else whose name I don't know. And it's a desktop tower defense kind of game, and it's a massive time sink. If you start playing it, you can end up like sitting there for like half an hour. The other day I went into the kitchen to boil the kettle in order to have a cup of tea, and while the kettle was boiling, I was sat on my Ubuntu phone playing this game, Machines versus Machines, and I got so engrossed in playing the game that I forgot that I boiled the kettle and had to reboil it like half an hour later because it had gone cold. So yeah, it's a fun game. You should install it on your Ubuntu phone. As to what ships by default, that's not our decision, but I would imagine it would appear on the list of favorite apps in the store at some point soon because it is good fun. We need more games like that, actually. More of these kind of addictive but simple concept games. It's really good fun to see people developing games like that. Next question. Where are we?
I think that's one for you, actually. Just Carcass is asking.
Why mirrors? What, these mirrors here? Can you see them? Oh, I see. Yeah, it's they're specially placed so that whenever the cat sits just off camera there, you can still see him in the mirror there. That's the whole reason why these mirrors exist, is so you can still see cats when they move. That's my excuse. Next question. Oh, crikey. Just Caracas asks, why can't you copy paste, I assume that means paste, in the terminal? I also tried Nano, but I couldn't use it because I couldn't save or exit because the keyboard wouldn't allow it. Oh. Does that mean the terminal on the phone? If so, file a bug.
Yeah, I would think it's the terminal on the phone because I think you can use Nano, but I don't know how you do Control X or whatever control combination you do on Nano to save. You cannot do it with the regular keyboard. So
okay, right. So interesting. Yes. Okay, I'll have a look at that. Copy paste in the terminal. You can. We've added copy and paste actually in the terminal. If you hold your finger down on the terminal, you get the opportunity to select text. You can just drag over and it inverts the text, and you press the little button in the top right hand corner of the screen and it will copy that into the clipboard, so you can like paste it into a paste bin or something like that. So copy and paste is there. If there's a problem with it, then we'll need to fix that.
okay, there are some few questions from Omar on IRC. Omar, if you could prepend your questions with a question, it would make it easy for us to make sure that we don't miss any. But yeah, I'm gonna. I've spotted this one, so I'm just gonna pick it. So Amar is asking, what will happen with the already released Ubuntu EV cars? I'm not sure how to pronounce EV or IV. I don't know.
It's an acronym. It means in-vehicle infotainment.
Okay.
Horrible acronym.
So I myself, I'm not involved in that project, but I could imagine that Snappy will make it. I mean, as far as I know, that's based on Ubuntu Core, on which Snappy is also based. So I would expect that to move to Snappy, which will make it easier to streamline and create Ubuntu. I was going to say releases, but Ubuntu ports perhaps for that.
But derivatives, or
yeah.
But I mean that's an interesting point. Is there are cars driving around that have Ubuntu-based distros in them. Like, as I understand it, the Tesla has Ubuntu under the bonnet inside that's driving that 17-inch screen and other components within the car. And I think that was a heavily customized build of Ubuntu. I think it would be interesting to see what people can make for IVI systems from Snappy Ubuntu Core, because then potentially you could continue to get software updates from Canonical, from the Ubuntu project, rather than having a piece of software in a car that never gets updates because it's not connected. Now, I realize the Tesla is like 3G connected and does get updates, but they had to do a lot of engineering work themselves in order to make that happen. Whereas if you use Snappy Ubuntu Core, then it could potentially be reused in lots of different places, and the reusable same code is used both in those mobile devices, in the phone, in the tablet, in the desktop, the cloud, everywhere, which is the ultimate goal of the same converged software in all those locations.
So next one, I think it was from Omar again. Is there any VoIP app in Ubuntu Touch, in the Ubuntu Touch store? Poppy, I'll defer that one to you. You're the master of us.
So there isn't a VoIP client or a SIP client in the Ubuntu store yet. It's something I would personally really like to see, and there's a number of approaches that could be done. I mean, there's obviously porting an existing app like Skype or some other, or Hangouts or something that is owned by a commercial entity. Then there's some work that they would need to do to port that. But there's also the possibility of building brand new clients, using reusable libraries like the libraries that are used by applications like Mumble and others. There are VoIP systems that could be built from scratch for Ubuntu or ported from other open source projects, like I say, like Mumble. Then the other strategy might be to add VoIP capability to the existing dialer app on the phone. I think that would be possibly more interesting, because the dialer app, you'd have one user interface where you could search for your contacts and find someone you want to dial, and then choose, oh well, I'm on Wi-Fi, why don't I dial them over VoIP rather than make a traditional radio type phone call. And if people were interested in developing those kind of things, I think the apps team would be probably interested in to hear from you, because I think that would be an interesting addition to the dialer app. I know we've talked about that in the past, but I don't think any work has been done to do that yet. It would be cool though. Similarly, the messaging app, it'd be ideal if the messaging app didn't just do SMS messaging, but did, all kinds of integrated messaging from, whatever other clients that you might normally use. But again, I don't think much work has been done there either. So in short, no.
Okay, let's take the next question. I think there's, I think we've actually addressed all of the questions. There's actually one comment. It's not just a question, I think, from We Want Ubuntu P, where I think this P might mean Portugal. There's no global jam in Portugal. Well, that's got an easy answer. Just get together with some people or contact your local team and get one organized. It's easier than you think. What I'd recommend is to go to loco.ubuntu.com, find the Portuguese team or teams in there, and see if you can get in touch with them to organize one. And Heinz has already pointed you the links as well on where to find information on how to organize a global jam. So that should get you started. I'd really love to see one in Portugal. That's out of the question. Yeah.
I think it's worth pointing out that these aren't. You don't have to have any kind of official sanction from Ubuntu or from Canonical or anything. There's no, there's no concept of being allowed to have a global jam or any other kind of event, really. If you want to create an event, create one. If there's one already in your country but it's too far away for you to go to, then create another one. It could happen on the same day, it could happen at a different day, it could happen, just a few friends in their house, or it could be, in a coffee shop or a bar or wherever's, most convenient to you. Don't feel that you have to be limited by what other teams are doing, or don't feel that you have to be limited by the fact that there is already a team doing something. if there are already people getting together and it's somewhere you can get to and it's convenient, then yeah, sure, go along and join in. But don't feel compelled to do that, because if 5 people in one town are triaging bugs and 5 people in another town are triaging bugs, then that's 10 people triaging bugs. It doesn't actually matter where you are, so long as everyone's getting together and contributing in a meaningful way. That's my opinion, anyway.
Excellent. Which I share too. Cool. All right, so I think we've run out of questions. If you've got any more, remember to just prefix them with questions. There's another couple of things coming up. One thing that I want to talk briefly will be Snappy as well. We've already touched it briefly, but I don't want to touch it briefly. I want to go into more detail into it, to tell everyone where they can get to it, to get more information and learn more about Snappy and get started. There's another thing, there's other conferences coming up. Poppy, I think there's FOSDEM coming up, and I even think you're going. So what's there going to be Ubuntu-wise at FOSDEM?
So FOSDEM is a free and open source developers conference in Brussels. Happens every year near the beginning of February. And I haven't been for a few years, but I'm going this year. I'll be arriving on Friday and leaving on Monday, so I'll be there for the whole weekend. And we have a number of other people from Canonical, from the Ubuntu project, who are going, and some community people who are going. Some of the core apps developers will be there as well. So I know Savik, who works on Unity on the phone, is going, and I think he's giving a talk while he's there about Ubuntu on phones. I don't think there's many other Ubuntu related talks there, but we'll certainly be available to discuss anything to do with Ubuntu and phones and anything Ubuntu really.
Cool. All right. So if you're at FOSDEM, make sure to you attend to
look for this space.
And yeah, exactly. This space.
Yes. Look for me and come and say hello.
Excellent. All right, so yeah, the other thing that I want to mention was Snappy. Again, we've touched it briefly earlier on, and you might have seen the announcement that we've been doing recently, and you might have seen a pattern here, an evolution on the work that we've been doing. So Snappy is essentially a lean and mean Ubuntu core, or Ubuntu stripped out of anything that's I don't want to say superfluous. It's just the essentials of Ubuntu put in a really nice package, in a really nice distro, where you can have transactional updates. It's the same old familiar Ubuntu. However, what's new about it is that it's adopted the same updates method as in the phone, meaning that there's a really clear separation between the platform, which is this Ubuntu core, and the applications that go on top. This also means that you can update apps independently from the distribution. We're not tied anymore to a release cycle for updating applications. And also, these transactional updates mean that you can roll back to the last known app state if something goes wrong. Right now, we've got two different applications, or two different big tracks for Snappy, and that's and one of these is the cloud track, so to say, and the other one is the devices, or the Internet of Things side of things. If you want to learn more about Snappy, you can go to ubuntu.com/snappy, and you can also go to ubuntu.com/things. There you will find high-level overview of what Snappy is. You'll find a more detailed explanation of what I've just mentioned. And then if you want to get started with Snappy itself, if you want to get your feet wet on playing with Snappy, I'd recommend you to go to developer.ubuntu.com/snappy, and there you can you'll find out the instructions on how to install Snappy on the cloud. You can also install it on Ubuntu using a virtual machine, so you don't need any special server or any hardware to start playing with Snappy. Or you can also install it to a supported device. One of them is the BeagleBone, which we were showing earlier on. That's the BeagleBone again, running Ubuntu, and I've got it connected to my network so that I can install packages through WebDM, which is the online UI or web UI essentially to manage your Snappy packages. And yeah, I mean, another thing to know about Snappy is that we've got a new packaging system called Snaps. It's based again on the technology that we've been using for click packages on the phone, but it's extremely easy to get started with. You only need a few files to list the metadata of your package. There's no dependency hell anymore, so it's just a matter of just putting your app in a directory, adding a couple of files with the metadata, and then run the Snappy packaging tool, which is essentially Snappy build, and that's it. That's pretty much it. And then you can either manually upload this or manually install this app onto your device, cloud, virtual machine, whatever, for testing, or you can, or rather, when you're ready with when you're finished with testing and you think your app is ready for consumption by users, then you can just upload it to the Ubuntu store. The store supports click packages and snap packages already, so this is something that you can do straight away. So I hope this gives you a glimpse of what Snappy is, but I recommend you to go to ubuntu.com/themes or ubuntu.com/snappy or developer.ubuntu.com/snappy, or just Google for Ubuntu Snappy and it will take you to those places. So that was Snappy 101 for you guys. If you got any questions, just as usual, feel free to ask. Okay, we've got another question from We Want Ubuntu P. Is it possible to translate the Ubuntu web page? I'm guessing this is ubuntu.com, and no, right now it's not possible. We don't have the infrastructure in place right now to make it translatable. However, developer.ubuntu.com is translatable and it already translated into Chinese. So, so if you want to contribute translating it into your language and translating app development tutorials into your language, just let us know. TPM on IRC. We've got Poppy here as well on IRC. We've got mhol119, and we've got the Holbach and Balloons. So feel free to ping either of us, or also David Kalle as well. Just Carcass question: would it be possible to install a Snappy package for a LAMP server on your phone? That's actually a really good question. There's two aspects to this. First of all, Snappy needs to be supported on your phone or on your device. Rather, I think the question right now, before it gets ported to the phone, would be whether it could be installed on a device or on the cloud. And the question is theoretically yes, but I think we still have to reach the full potential of Snappy. What I would recommend you is to subscribe to snappy-devel at lists.ubuntu.com, or is it lists.launchpad.net? Anyway, let me just find out in a minute. But I'd recommend to ask on the mailing list, because there you'll get the answer from the Snappy developers, which can help you not only with the questions on direction of the Snappy project, but also on the more involved technical tasks. So I'd say in theory, yes, we're not there yet, but do ask on the mailing list to learn more about this and to get a more accurate answer. Let me see.
Yeah, in theory, you can package up pretty much anything. The idea is you can, put whatever software inside a Snappy package or inside a Click package that you want, and package all the dependencies up in there, yourself. And that could work for a LAMP stack as well. Whether you'd want to run a LAMP stack on a device like that, I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, the mailing list is snappy-tval. Just gonna paste it. list.ubuntu.com. So do ask your questions there about Snappy, and the Snappy hackers will be more than happy to help you. Okay. I'm just looking at my list of things that we wanted to mention for this call. I think I'm pretty much done for the for what I have on my list. But just Caracas keeps asking good questions, so let's go for that. So, what is the difference between Snappy and a Click? Right now, the difference is purely on the format of the metadata. Click packages are based on JSON, essentially, and Snappy packages are based on YAML. Again, I don't know how to pronounce YAML. I don't generally talk about it publicly.
YAML is fine. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that.
Cool. So yeah, that's it's essentially an implementation details. But as far as I understand it, they use the same deep-package underlying technologies, which again evolved from apt, but it's something completely different than the apt-get packaging method. But I think in the future we will see this converging as well. I think right now the most important thing to know is that creating Snappy apps or snaps, it's really, really easy. All right. Any more questions? Anyone? Again, feel free to paste them with questions, and then we've got just Caracas again. Cool. So, question. Here comes another one. Why not just one package extension? I mean, right now, I'll say that's another good question. Right now, the different extensions help us distinguish between these two formats, but I think in the future we should see convergence, and we will see this essentially what you're wishing for, just one package extension.
Right, if there's no more questions, I think we should wrap up and have a cup of tea.
Yay. All right, so so just Caracas is just saying, just trying to imprint my name onto your minds. So yeah, I mean, go for it, not just because of that purpose, but the questions I think are really good and really valid. Excellent. All right, so yeah, Poppy, as you're saying, shall we just wrap it up for today?
Yep. Thank you, everyone. We're back next week. Probably, I guess, Mike. We should mix it up a little bit. Like Daniel be here with Mike or something. Make a bit of variety. But if you want to know when we're on, just go to ubuntuonair.com. You can also subscribe to Twitter, the Ubuntu On Air account, and also on YouTube. There's a Ubuntu On Air. You can subscribe to that so you know when the videos are available.
Sure. All right. Okay, there's another question. We want to is it not too risky to make Ubuntu default only on 16.04 LTS? This is an ongoing conversation that we're having right now. Rather than talking about risks, I would say that we're moving forward with convergence, and as you know, with Ubuntu, we're always on the leading edge, and also on the leading edge of innovation as well. So I think it just makes sense that we push these things to go or new technologies to go for default as soon as possible. Whether it will be 16.04, I think there's something to discuss with the desktop and Unity 8 teams.
Yeah, I think Mark Shuttleworth in a recent Google Plus post replied to someone who asked this question and said, not until it's ready, basically. Once we've got enough people saying yes, it's ready and we're going to have it, rather than force it in too early. Because we've learned the lesson of sometimes you have to push technology, the boundaries a little bit, and there can be sometimes resistance, but the flip side to that is you don't have to upgrade every single release. And so if you held back and waited for 2 releases or something before upgrading again, that's one strategy. But I realize that a lot of our enthusiast user base like to upgrade to the very latest version of everything every time it comes out. But I think we'll be a bit more conservative about how Unity 8 hits the desktop by default. So when it's ready, I think.
Cool. Mitch, Linux guy, is asking: is the original BeagleBone not black supported? Right now, we're only supporting the BeagleBone Black from the BeagleBone family of devices. However, what I'd recommend you to do is to go to developer.ubuntu.com/porting, and there you can find the instructions on, if you're interested, to port Snappy to new devices, including the original BeagleBone.
I'm interested in that too, because I also have an old BeagleBone, not a BeagleBone Black, which I would like to see it ported to.
What's the technology of what's the ARM architecture? Is it on the copy? Is it ARM 7 and
it's more modern than a Raspberry Pi.
Okay,
if that's the question you're asking.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right then. So I think we'll leave it here. If you've got more questions, we're always on the Ubuntu Community channel or on the Ubuntu AppDevel channels. So feel free to ping us anytime. And with this, I think we'll just say thank you for everyone for participating, for watching, and see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you, David. See you later, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.